we're gonna lead off here today with a bombshell of a story that came out in the Kootenai Journal, which is a local paper up in the Kootenai County area, and but this is a bombshell of a story because it has ramifications across the entire state. And do we have? I have the paper here. I get the paper sent to my house. So when I sat down the last night and I read this story, I was shocked, and what it really did is kind of center and reconfigured my mind to understand the root cause, which may be the root cause of the problems with our public school system in terms of the direction, the wokeness, the ideology, the focus of where everybody's focused in terms of teaching children and the curriculum, and the social emotional learning and all this stuff, rather than what our Constitution says is the duty of the legislature and the duty of public education. So we're going to compare those two by using this article. This was out in the Kootenai Journal, and I don't know if we have if we have a screenshot from the actual article here or the website, but here's over at the Kootenai Journal. Let's fast forward on this this screenshot here. Go to the next slide. Yeah, go to this slide here because this is the beginning of it right here. So this is what it says. We're going to get into this, folks. Last year, a couple of public school administrators contacted the Kootenai Journal over their concerns that the Idaho Department of Education has been outsourcing the accreditation process for all public high schools to a global organization currently known as Cognia. Now, let me stop right there, folks, because the current anti-DEI task force that the legislature has convened and that we've covered on this show already is dealing with the DEI conversations in higher ed at our universities. Okay, this is not about our public school system or the high schools or K through 12. And Cognia is an accreditation agency that my producers were showing me earlier. They have basically taken over the entire country. They have absorbed all of these sort of different accreditation agencies into one big giant conglomerate. And so Cognia is a worldwide organization. They're based out of Georgia, I believe. Yeah, here's the map. And these are all the states that are now under that have most of their public schools being accredited by Cognia. Now, why is this a problem? I'll tell you why this is a problem, at least for Idaho. And we're going to walk through this. And so get your thinking caps on here. Article 9, Section 1 of the Idaho Constitution and our statutes here say that it is the duty of where do I have it? I don't memorize this stuff, folks. The stability of a Republican form of government, depending mainly upon the intelligence of the people, it shall be the duty of the Idaho legislature to establish and maintain a general, uniform, thorough system of public and free common schools. You're going to hear this quoted a lot when we talk about school choice and everything. But the first part of here, the stability of a Republican form of government depending mainly upon the intelligence of the people. Okay, so the duty that the Idaho legislature has is to protect the stability of our Republican form of government by making sure we educate children and students to be intelligent. So that's our goal here, is to maintain the stability of our Republican form of government. The reason why this is a problem, here's the statute here, in terms of accreditation. So when it comes to accreditation, the State Board of Education is charged right here. It shall establish standards for accreditation of any of the secondary schools and sets forth minimum requirements to be set by the public, private, and parochial secondary schools, and therefore, and so forth. Okay, the reason why this is a problem here with Cognia, folks, is that it is Cognia's standards. It is their accreditation standards that are in direct conflict with what we want here in Idaho. So does that make sense? I want to see your comments come in. If I need to go back and redo some of these things, I want to know you're following along with me here. So when schools want to be accredited, right? And that's very important for students to go to a school that has accreditation. Therefore, they can get into higher education. And we all know the reasons behind accreditation and accrediting schools, right? To make sure that their standards are up to speed. The problem is that the standards, the performance standards that Cognia have, yeah, here it is on the screen. The problem is that their standards don't match what we just read in that statute. Okay? And I'm going to read to you a couple of these standards. Standard number 1, and this is under key characteristic, the culture of learning. Standard number 1, leaders cultivate and sustain a culture that demonstrates respect, fairness, equity, and inclusion, and is free from bias. Now, again, there might be some of you out there going, well, that all sounds great. Those all sound awesome. But because we're already in the discussion in higher ed when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, that these are all code words. These are all been co-opted by the cultural Marxists to dismantle our society, basically, right? So there are 30 different standards here. And nowhere in here does it say that they are going to help Idaho preserve its Republican form of government by creating intelligent people. So this is a big problem. This is a big problem. And there are some Idaho public school administrators that came forward, at least came forward to this report, to Charity Joy. Big shout out to Charity Joy of the Kootenai Journal here for breaking this story. Let's go back to this. I want to explain to you down here in part of this article, and we'll put the link up in the show notes so that you can go to this. Cognia has 30 standards, none of which make any effort to assess based on ensuring the stability of our Republican form of government. Their list of standards begins with demonstration of equity. This means Cognia measures academic performance on equity instead of equal opportunity. For example, it measures racial disparities in suspensions as equally important. So again, folks, the reason why this is a big deal is because schools, in order to keep their accreditation, they have to meet the standards set by Cognia. They don't have to meet the standards set by the Idaho Constitution. They have to meet the standards set by Cognia. If Cognia doesn't feel that that a school is meeting these 30 standards or whatever they pull out of these standards, then the school is at risk of losing its accreditation. So if a school is out there operating without these standards in effect that Cognia wants, then they'll lose their accreditation. Your child will lose the diploma that means something when they move on to higher education or to a job or something, right? So what the state board has done, and the article points out here, what the state board has done essentially is abdicate its responsibility to a third party, to a global third party, to handle this situation. Yeah, here, look at this. I'm going to go down a little bit. According to the Legislative Services Office, Senate Bill 1176 and House Bill 734 created laws that each college and university shall verify no state appropriated funds are used to support DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, or social justice ideology as part of any student activities, clubs, events, or organizations on campus. So they're taking a hard look at this already in the higher ed situation. But here, funnily enough, down here in the K through 12 in high school, it's happening, and it's been happening, which is exactly why, whenever you go to board meetings and you're wondering why are schools doing what they're doing, why are they changing the language, why are they getting away with all this stuff, why are our kids focused on cultural nonsense, right? Rather than learning about our republic, learning about our founders, and having a strong focus to make sure that we're raising students up to be intelligent people in order to protect the stability of our Republican form of government. That is the sole responsibility that has been laid out in statute. That's what's going on. So that is a big story. Representative Dale Hawkins hopefully will join us here in a little while to talk more about this. I'm not sure if he's fully aware of this. I don't want to cut him off, catch him unaware. But this is a big issue. We're going to stay on it. We applaud the Kootenai Journal and Charity Joy for bringing this up to our attention. And this is really. I'm going to read something real quick again. The administrators, the ones that pointed this out, they said that they posed this question: does the section, Article 9, Section 1, which I read earlier, it empowers the legislature to establish a system of free schools for the purpose of maintaining the stability of a Republican form of government. Does this section not require the people to be educated in the very Republican form of government it seeks to uphold? Common sense would say yes, but add that it would be necessary to be given a deep and exhaustive education into the American founders, their values, and the principles that shaped and established our great republic. But Cognia does not focus on the purpose of education established by Idaho's Constitution. Instead, it's focused firmly on today and tomorrow, seeking what works in our schools and helping provide students with the opportunities that knowledge brings. So a lot of big word salad here from Cognia. So, folks, we're gonna stay on this. I encourage you to head over to the Kootenai Journal, read that story, read up on it, and hopefully those administrators will come forward a little bit more. I'd love to have them on the show. We'll see if Charity can come on too and shed a little bit more light onto what her research has shown. But I believe this is a big deal, and this again goes to the root cause of why our schools are so focused. They're so focused on this. It's because they have some of them are willingly doing it, right, with certain administrators. But there are those here, because we have good teachers and good people here in Idaho, that their hands are tied, because if they don't meet these standards set by Cognia, set by this global organization that we showed the map, they control almost all the schools across the country, that if we don't do that, they will pull accreditation. That's the risk here. There it is. And the reason why they're different colors here, I've been told, is because each one of these states used to be under different accreditation agencies, and those have all been gobbled up. So the Northwest over there was under one. California has its own. They're probably leading the way. The South and the Midwest and the Northeast, they were all been gobbled up by Cognia here. So very important stuff, folks. Very important. So we're going to get to the root. This is the root cause. This is the root cause of some of what's going on in our education system. And if we can get back to what it was supposed to be, then maybe we wouldn't be having these horrible disputes over public money and public schools and why our schools are failing. Like, let's focus here at home. Let's get the Department of Education, the federal government wiped out, get rid of it. We don't need federal dollars. We don't need federal strings attached to educating our own children. And if you want to homeschool. If you want to start your own co-op, if you want to fund a private school. I was talking with somebody, I said, what do we do with all this? If they shut down the whole system, what do? They auction off schools and open up private schools. Who knows what's going on? I have no idea. But now we know why a lot of these schools are tied. They're tied up in this DEI nonsense because they'll lose their accreditation if they don't succumb to these globalist standards. It's awful. It's awful. All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll continue the program. Stay right there.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government and what we were tasked to do.